we pretty much had landed exactly where we're at now, where you don't have to train to this bodybuilder or Olympic athlete or marathon
No.
runner level. You just need to train in a way that makes you healthy, and so that you can do the things that you want to be able to do, walking up the stairs and not feeling gassed, picking up your
Right.
grandkids and it being easy, that sort of stuff. And I think that can be an important frame shift for people to realize, like, hey, I don't have to work as hard as these social media influencers are maybe showing me.
Oh no. I mean,
Yeah.
it just they make it look like you have to train for the Olympics, and you really don't.
Hmm.
Just improve your health.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and now I'm a big believer, for me, in resistance training. I'm a big resistance trainer. I have been for since I quit smoking.
Yeah.
So a long, long, 30, 40, 50 years. Um, and I'm just, 2 or 3 times a week. I have a gym in the office we're in now. I have a
Nice.
rowing machine, a treadmill, a bike, and a home gym all crammed into this little tiny office.
Very good.
And I don't hang clothes on them. I use them
Hmm.
on a regular, consistent basis. And I'm just such a big believer in staying fit. And I am convinced that resistance training has protected my bones over the years.
It's excellent for bone health, and it another, I mean, one of the nice things for resistance training, for me at least, is when you grow muscle, you build more muscle, and that muscle eats up energy, which means you
Right.
have a higher basic basal metabolic rate, which just means your body is pumping out energy, using up energy at a higher level, like you're running at a higher octane almost.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just about 6 months ago went to DexaFit and I did they did a DEXA scan, a percent
Nice.
body fat,
Very
and I
good.
think it came out either 19 or 20%. They're like, wow, for your age, that's
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
really good. When I was younger, it was like 14 for when I was running.
Hmm.
But at this point, I was happy to get 19 to 20%, and I think they gave my biological age at about 15 to 20 years younger than I actually am. So somewhere in that range.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, no, it was a really fun thing to do. I was really excited to do it. And back in the days when I was doing my exercise phys thing. I mean, I pinched, oh my God,
The calipers.
thousands, the body fat on with calipers on thousands of people. I
Yeah.
mean, I can almost, and
Hmm.
so, but it was fun. It was fun to do the scan and I want to go back and do the VO2 max and
Mm.
see
Yeah.
see 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 what that's like. Because on my treadmill, I'll walk on an incline about twice a week, and um, yeah, it's just, I don't know. To me, it's important. I don't expect it to be as important to everyone else, but man, if you're trying to get healthy, just get some kind of exercise,
Yeah.
no matter what it is. My dad used to walk around the house. He had a path. He'd walk from his room to the bathroom to the dressing room back. And he'd do that for like, I was like, what are you doing? Well, that was his exercise.
Yeah. I mean, it can be simple. Um, this I talk about this a lot on the channel, and I always hit this point, and I think getting other people's perspectives is good. Where here's what to do: exercise, cut out processed foods, limit drinking, stop smoking. And I think a lot of people are familiar with these sort of pieces of advice. And I think the more pertinent thing is, how do you actually enact these changes? How do you take the steps in the right direction? What would your perspective be on that?
Okay, can you? I don't fully understand the question.
Like, I think a lot of people know that they should probably exercise more or cut back on drinking, but like, what are some actionable steps that they can take
Oh,
day to day to action? Because it's hard to do these things cold turkey. You're not going to go from never
no.
working out to working out 6 days a week, or you drink 6 drinks a day. You're not going to just quit cold turkey most of the time. What are
No,
some
I'll be
mindset things, I guess?
I'll be perfectly honest. It's kind of embarrassing, but during the pandemic, when it first started, we were all sitting around twiddling our thumbs, trying to figure what to do, and it got to the point on Friday and Saturday night, I was drinking probably one, maybe two glasses of wine, two and a half. So, I was like, oh my God, I polished off a whole bottle of wine this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, wake up, and so I just made a decision that I just didn't want to do that anymore.
Mm,
And I just kind of slowly but surely tapered off. But boy, if you find yourself and you can't slow your drinking down, go to an AA meeting.
mm-hmm,
Do it with a friend. Um, I um, but as far as exercise goes, just start off slow.
yeah.
Start off slow, just start off with small steps. And generally what happens, and I know this happened with a lot of smokers I work with, they start feeling so much better. They're like, wow, I feel better. And they want to do more.
Mm. I think that's
And
an
or
important point is we were kind of hitting on this earlier with the smoking stuff where they try to get you to stop smoking on TV by showing you all of the horrible things, the person without the
scare
jaw, scare
tactics.
tactics, when maybe that's a little bit too much stick. Maybe we need a little bit more carrot with these things. Maybe instead of just telling people, you need to go to the gym or you're going to die of a heart attack. I mean, that messaging might help some people, but maybe some people need to hear, hey, if you go to the gym, you're going to feel awesome afterwards. Like you're going to feel high on life. You're going to feel great for the rest of the
Right.
day. It's going to try it. Just trust me. Maybe
I,
that's
I,
what they need to hear.
I, I agree completely. I know about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I became familiar with Dr. Kristen Neff, who's a self-compassion researcher at UT Austin. She's from California, but and I listened to all three of her books. I went to her podcast. I joined her self-compassion group. Compassion just was a real game changer for me,
Mm-hmm.
a real game changer.
Talk about that.
And um, I think I was just really critical of myself,
Mm-hmm.
um, critical of my thinking, critical of my body, just critical of myself in general. And once I learned to sort of ease up and talk to myself in a way I talk to a friend. Yeah, you would
Mm.
never say to a friend, "Oh my God, you're so stupid. Why would you even think that?" You'd never say that to a friend, but
Yeah.
you'd say that to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how
Mm-hmm.
dumb is that? That's really why would, and so I started talking to myself the way I would talk to a dear friend,
Mm.
and over time, it was just a game changer.
Yeah.
And just learning to love yourself. It sounds kind of you know, it sounds kind of woo woo, but
Yeah.
it really was a game changer. So I think just being compassionate, being kind, and you just right. Unfortunately, right now in the world, we're not seeing much of that
Yeah. And
at
I
all.
think it's something that does need the drum beaten more about because I've noticed it with myself. I want to be a doctor. You're you've been doing this CPR stuff, working with high level people for 30 years. We're both trying to pursue very high level things, and I think oftentimes when you do that, you get imposter syndrome. You're hard on yourself. You're
Right.
looking for the next mountain to climb. You take no time to look back and be kind to yourself. But I have found with myself lately that just taking a moment to pause and tell myself, hey, you've done a good job this week. You've put a lot of time in. You've worked really hard.
Right.
Good. You've done a good job.
Being kind to yourself.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. Like it sounds woo woo. It's like, yeah, be kind to yourself, whatever. But it can be hard to do, and I think actually being genuine and honest about it, trying to find moments of gratitude is important.
Oh, absolutely. In fact,
Hmm.
um, I just listened to a book that you would love. The author's name is Dr. James Doty, Doty. And let me get the name of the book because I mean, I just, he grew up in a very impoverished situation, and
Mm,
he met Into the Magic Shop. That's the name of the book, Into the Magic Shop.
okay.
James Doty, Doty. And when he was little, maybe 11 or 12, he decided he wanted to be a doctor, but his father was an alcoholic, his mother was suicidal, and somehow just by manifesting that he wanted to be in healthcare and be a doctor, he was able to do it. Now he's like, a world-renowned surgeon.
Hmm.
He's written 3 or 4 books, and it all had to do with just manifesting what he wanted to do
Yeah.
when he was young. So his last name is spelled Doty. It's just Oh, I was sad when the book was over. It was just so,
I'll
it
have to
was
look.
just so,
I'll have to look at that. That sounds like a
it
good
was
read.
so great. But yeah, he talks a lot about self-compassion,
Hmm.
and it was a game changer for me.
Yeah,
Um, absolutely. And I was like, wow, why did it take so long for me to learn to love myself? Well, it's just,
yeah.
I'm just kind of a late bloomer.
I think,
But
but you did hit on an important piece here too. Is treat yourself like someone you're supposed to take care of, like a friend or a family member. Like you're not going to treat if your best friend comes to you and says, "Hey man, I've had a rough week. I've been down and I haven't really hit the gym and I've just kind of laid in bed all week." You're not going to tell them like, "Well, you suck. You need to
right, lazy ass,
get off
right?
your ass and put into." I mean, maybe if there's probably situations where that might be what they need to hear, but most of the time you're going to be like a lot more compassionate. You're not going to be as blunt and callous and
Yeah,
rude
yeah.
to them.
Everybody has a bad week, so you'll get
Hmm.
back. Yeah, see, it just, but boy, learning to talk to yourself that way takes some practice,
Hmm.
and it took some practice, but I just so I feel so much better about myself.
Yeah, and I think to kind of bring that back a little bit, I think if you're able to be kind with yourself and almost communicate with yourself more, because I think there's this sense that there's you, and then there's kind of the part of you that is just making the decisions and moving around a lot, and a lot of times you feel like you might not have control over that, especially in the what we're talking about: drugs, alcohol, smoking, exercise. It almost feels like there's a part of you that doesn't have control, and then there's the small part of you that does. You almost need to bring those two into conversation with each other, and I think one of the only ways you can do that is by being compassionate with yourself. If you're gonna use the small, I don't know if this is making sense, but if you're going to use the agentic part of yourself to just admonish the part of you that's not doing well, then it's probably not going to want to change. But if you're compassionate with yourself and say, okay, I know I haven't been as good as I should be with drinking, but that's okay. I'm going to make progress. I'm going to move forward. We're
Right.
gonna we're gonna move forward here. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna come out the other side. I think that's probably going to be a lot more effective than just being in your head and being like, "Oh, I'm such a piece of shit. This
Right. No,
this
you
is
can't.
I'm such in
Right.
such a bad spot. I'm never going to get out of here." You have to be optimistic. You have to have to good at it. You have to have a good attitude about it and about yourself.
Well, I agree completely. Yeah, and I'm so grateful to Dr. Neff because I just learned so much from her and her courses and her, yeah, the people she works with, her colleagues. It's just been a great experience. And,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what, at what stage of life you learn about. I'm glad I finally learned it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's an important thing to learn.